AskReddit, what evil pranks have you pulled off? I used to work at a science tutoring center when I was in college in my gap year before professional school. One of the things we taught very often was anatomy. So naturally we acquired a few skeletons and various skulls with some variation in how they looked or were marked, etc. Well, I was closing one night and I knew my co-worker was opening the next morning early. So before I locked up, I assorted all of the skeletons and skulls in a welcome party near the front door. I had one immediately at the opening of the only door into the room with several backup skeletons and skulls just behind at a table together watching on. The best part was that you have to turn on the lights manually and that switch is immediately to the side of the door opening. So when she reached down to turn on the lights, she had to come face to face with some lifeless skeleton skull in the middle of the shady opening. Needless to say, she screamed, and it was loud enough to make our boss come to see if she was okay. Woke up to some colorful texts LMAO. Still proud of that one, honestly. Please tell me this welcome party was a bunch of skeletons in dirty sex positions. A bunch of skeletons boning. Welcome to the bone zone. Picked out every last marshmallow from my sister's box of Lucky Charms. Then took a photo of me eating a bowl of Just Charms, printed it, and put in the bottom of the bag. I then sealed the bag back up, hot glued the box, and back in the pantry it went. This isn't a prank. This is the work of Satan. My mum's laptop wallpaper was a picture of her granddaughter. I copied the picture 100 times and made her wallpaper a slideshow of the same picture over and over again. So the file would change but nothing would change visibly on the monitor. The pictures would change every 10 seconds. On one of the images I painted a tiny little curly mustache on her. So randomly for 10 seconds my niece would have a mustache. My mum thought she was either losing her mind or had a computer virus, and every time the mustache popped up, it was gone by the time she tried to show anyone. I regret that I have but one upvote to give. Gotta do this to my family later. Not sure if this will be seen, but my best New Year's was that of 1999. I was 9 years old at the time and I worked together with my dad to pull off the greatest prank in history. A few minutes before midnight I synced up a wristwatch with the countdown on TV. My dad pointed me in the direction of the breaker which was in our garage and showed me the lever to pull, which would cut all power to the house. Now I don't know if you remember the hype, but the year 2000 was supposed to destroy all of our computers and technology, sending us back to the Stone Ages. So the moment grew closer as I watched the seconds tick by on my wristwatch. It soon became apparent that I wouldn't need it, as I could hear all my relatives inside counting down 10, 9, 8, 2, 1. I pulled the lever at the perfect timing and everything went black. The first thing I heard was from my aunt, "Oh my god, it hit, Y2K hit." I was only going to leave the power out for 10 seconds or so, but the lever was stuck and I couldn't get it back up for about 2 minutes, during which the whole time I heard my family freaking out. Then eventually they looked outside and started to wonder why our neighbors still had power. Haha, thinking back I really wish we would have recorded this. Probably could have won $10,000. TLDR, pulled the greatest prank in history on New Year's Eve, 1999. Y2K was a big deal back then lol, and this was awesome. The greatest prank in history. I don't know dude, I think the Trojan horse got you on that one. I was 9. My dad just had hernia surgery the day prior and was recuperating on the couch. Before I left for school, I put the Martha Stewart channel on and left the remote just beyond his reach. He spent 8 hours learning how to arrange pillows on a bed. He exacted his revenge 15 years later. I'd just had my emergency C-section, and he put Frozen on and left it on a loop, while the entire family left for the mall and left the remote just out of my reach. Revenge is indeed a dish best served cold. Not just cold, frozen even. Wow, he really didn't let it go after all those years. Good for him. My parents worked nights when I was in middle school, and I stayed at my friend's house while my parents were at work. This friend loved to torment me One day, his 13-year-old brain thought it'd be funny to pee off the deck onto the feral cats in the yard below. I told him I was going to tell his mother, went inside and told her when Trevor walks in just act disgusted. He walked in, she told him how disappointed she was in him, having no idea what he did, to which he replied, I swear to God mom, he's lying, I didn't piss on those cats. Watching his face as he realized I told her nothing, and he just told on himself was one of the highlights of my youth. A friend kept trying to steal my sushi off my plate at a sushi restaurant. So while she wasn't looking I stuffed it full of wasabi, put a bit of fish back on top to cover my tracks, and pretended to not be looking. When she started reaching towards it, she tossed it into her mouth, started chewing down, and I just swung my head towards her to say you effed up. 5 minutes of coughing, muffled screaming, and copious amounts of water later, she had learned her lesson. I hate when people steal food from my plate, so I salute you. In high school I knew a guy who had one of those locks for his locker that just goes in 4 directions, not numbers. One day I was zoned out and happened to see him put his combination in. I wrote it down immediately, didn't have a plan, just knew it was too good of an opportunity to miss. I noticed the locker next to his was empty. The next day after class, I waited until he went home. I took everything in his locker and moved it exactly 1 locker over. Everything was in the exact same place, same shelves, and then I locked it back up. Next morning, he came into class so confused and said quietly, I think someone moved my locker. Needless to say, all his friends said he was crazy, since nothing was stolen, and everything was exactly the same place that he left it. The fact that he had written down his locking number in his planner was attributed as a mistake in writing, and ignored. So the next day, I moved his locker 5 over. That was a fun meltdown to watch. Oh, that is so delightfully evil. My freshman year of high school, the big craze at my school was this 50-pack of Crayola markers. I don't know why exactly, but fads are fads. A friend of mine had a pack that she was obsessed with. She had them organized in the pack in like a perfect color gradient order. So of course anytime she left the room I'd mix her markers up, so she had to fix them when she came back. This went on for a month maybe, and one day in study hall she leaves, and before she leaves turns to me, and she says, don't rearrange my effing markers. So I didn't. I rearranged the caps. You see, these markers were solid white apart from the caps and a little tiny nib at the other end. She got about halfway through fixing them when she noticed she was holding a marker with an orange cap and a turquoise nib. I can't tell you the joy I experienced when she looked at me and said, you didn't even move the markers, did you? I laughed so hard I was asked to leave the study hall. She didn't talk to me for 2 weeks. 100% worth it. I saw a post about switching around mayo and vanilla pudding. Emptied out a mayo jar and cleaned it well, filled it with a few pots worth of vanilla pudding, and took it to uni. Our uni is very lax about eating during the lectures, so I waited until midday when I was sitting in the middle of all my friends and they were all eating their lunch. Cue me taking out a jar of mayo and a spoon, popping the lid, and taking a big ol' spoonful with a grin. At first only the closest ones noticed, but after the 3rd spoon it was like everyone was frozen around me. Pin drop silence. After the 5th spoon someone faux retched and the spell was broken. The looks of sheer terror and disgust was well worth the pain of eating vanilla pudding. I'm a chocolate kinda gal. One of my friends let me know he was going to pull this prank, so I helped him fill a jar with pudding. Then I swapped his jar of mayo pudding with a regular jar of mayo. I went to a party at someone's house whom I didn't like. First thing I did was go into the bathroom and turn their toilet paper around so the roll was on backwards. Everyone who went to the bathroom there saw what kind of Neanderthals the homeowners were. Worse if you reach down and turn off the water to the toilet tank. Calm down, Satan. In a community college computer lab with maybe 40 students, I set off a music bomb of Ray William Johnson's YouTube song To Golbitties. I downloaded a RuneScape auto clicker and set it to click once every 60 seconds. I set the mouse near the play button, turned the music on full blast and walked out. 40-ish seconds later, panic ensued, laugh out loud. I was in a bakery with my mom and my 1-year-old daughter. I farted and it was one of those silent but deadly ones. So I said, "Oh my god mom, seriously?" Her eyes got really wide and she was like, "It wasn't me. Must have been the baby." I kept harassing her about farting and blaming the baby for the rest of the day. Then she actually farted and I said, "Are you gonna blame that one on the baby too?" She said no, that was definitely me. And I laughed and told her the first one was me. She just about lost it laughing. Whomever smelt it, dealt it, always. Not up, the one who denied it, supplied it. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe for more.